You're staring at a question. The textbook is open. Your notes are right there. You've read this before, and yet you're stuck. Here's the mistake most students make. You think the problem is hard, but you haven't actually looked at it yet. Sherlock Holmes had a name for this. He said, "You have not observed, and yet you have seen." Today, you'll learn a simple, repeatable way to handle difficult study problems by thinking like Sherlock Holmes when you get stuck. This method starts with how you look, the core of how you think like Sherlock Holmes. Step 1. Stop seeing. Start observing. In A Scandal in Bohemia, Holmes asks Dr. Watson how many steps lead up to their flat. Watson walks them every day. He has no idea. Holmes knows the answer instantly, not because he's smarter, but because he looks with purpose. Here's a quick test. Open any textbook, article, or lecture note. Don't read it yet. Just scan for clues. What words are bolded? What diagrams take up a full page? What ideas keep showing up again and again? Those aren't random, they're signals. Observation means you stop passively reading and start hunting for what actually matters. Observation gives you the clues, but clues alone don't solve anything. Step 2. Deduce by reasoning backward. Holmes doesn't rush forward. He reasons backward. He starts with the result and traces it back to the cause. His rule is simple. Once you eliminate the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth. When you're stuck studying, your brain jumps to impossible explanations. I'm not smart enough. This topic is just too hard. A detective throws those away immediately, not because they sound harsh, but because they don't help you move forward. A wrong answer isn't failure, it's evidence. The confusion already exists. Your job is to trace it back. Where exactly did your understanding break? Which assumption doesn't hold? Which step are you unsure about? That's deduction. But even perfect reasoning fails if your mind is cluttered. Holmes believed the brain is like an attic. If you fill it with everything, you won't find anything when you need it. So he was selective. He kept only what helped him solve cases. This is where most students struggle. They try to understand everything at once, then feel overwhelmed and stuck. Thinking like Sherlock means changing the goal. Your goal isn't to know everything. Your goal is to solve this problem. Your notes, syllabus, and examples aren't clutter. They're clues. Choose the few ideas that actually unlock understanding and ignore the rest for now. This isn't cutting corners. It's thinking strategically. And at this point, you now have the full method. You're no longer guessing or rereading randomly. You're starting to think like Sherlock, using a system instead of brute force. This sounds clean in theory, but it only matters if it works in real life. Let's test the method. You're looking at a tough study question. You read it once. Nothing makes sense. Your instinct is to reread everything from the beginning. That feels productive, but it's a dead end. Stop. Observe. This is what it looks like to think like Sherlock Holmes in real time. Not rereading, not guessing, but asking the right questions first. What is the question actually asking for? A definition? A relationship? A transformation? Now deduce backward. If you already knew the answer, what would you need to understand first? That tells you exactly what's missing. Finally, check your brain attic. Do you need 5 concepts or just one key idea you haven't clarified yet? Once you find that missing piece, the problem doesn't feel impossible anymore. It feels solvable. That moment, when the problem suddenly makes sense, isn't luck. It's the system working. This way of thinking changes your role. You stop being a passive reader. You become an active investigator. Every difficult concept is a case. Every moment of confusion is a clue. From now on, whenever you feel stuck while studying, ask yourself, if I were to think like Sherlock Holmes right now, what would I look for first? Not more time, not more pressure, better thinking. You don't need to be a genius. You just need a better way to approach problems. You no longer just see the material. You're trained to observe the solution. This is Peak Razor. Let's build productivity systems that win daily.